Hello, everyone. 48 minutes after 12. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Not too bad, right? A little mild at times, then it just got cold, especially on Sunday. Some of those snow showers and snow squalls had a bit of a kick to them. I missed out on most of them. I was a little too far south, but I did see a lot of the of your videos and your photos that were sent out, so thank you for that. But yeah, I mean, it was like near blizzard-like conditions in some cases yesterday. Quite the change, right? All right, so hello, by the way, in case we haven't met, I'm Brian Good. Nice to meet you. Welcome to Snow Talk. This is where we have a chance to, of course, dive into the finer details of the weather pattern ahead, especially when it comes to anything snow-related. And after a nice little break, we're getting back on track, right? Let's start with the snowboard. That's the easiest way to get into the conversation, and it hasn't really changed a whole lot. Maybe some of the finer details. But look at the time periods. They're all like stacked very close together here over the next several days. All right, so we got late Thursday or late Wednesday into Thursday, a band of snow showers will be around. More snow showers with another little piece that drops in Friday and Saturday. Another piece of snow showers for MLK Day on Monday into Tuesday. And then maybe a bit of a break before one that I still think we need to watch toward the end portion of January. That still is labeled with that system to watch tag on it. So, yeah, quite a bit. Right now outside, it's cold, as you guys are fully aware of. And it is sunny, though. So today will be the prettiest day of the week. Just hard to enjoy it. Just have to enjoy it through the window. 38 degrees in Louisville now, 41 into areas around, say, Seymour and North Vernon. So we'll climb into the mid upper 40s today. We'll add about 10 to that, looks like tomorrow, as we prepare for the flip coming our way and our weather later this week. Looking from space, you can see some of the snow that was on the front range there of the Rockies. Really sticks out, doesn't it, there? And some hints of snow. And a few spots there, certainly into Michigan, you still see it. Some lake effect ongoing there. But really, when you look at the country and looking from space, you would expect to see a lot more snowpack into the northern part than we normally would get. So that's going to lead us into some challenges initially. What I mean by that, let me get rid of the clouds and the rain to explain, is whenever we have the lack of a snowpack that is a deep snowpack in areas that counts, especially in this region of the country, then a lot of the air masses that are really, really cold that come straight in from, say, near Manitoba to Saskatchewan, Alberta, when they drop straight down, land friction, because there is no snow on the ground, automatically modifies them. So they're still brutally cold shots, but not anything Arctic breaking for the area. So they dive down and they have a reaching point that they kind of just settle somewhere around a 40, somewhere in that area. When the cold air attacks come over where there is a snowpack, especially in eastern side of Canada, and they come in like a backdoor cold front and they slide through and then really build in to the southeast corner of the country. We've seen that many times. They tend to be stronger because they didn't have much time over a bare ground coming at that direction. So the cold attacks that come in from the northeast tend to be a little more brutal. This is the same story that they run into a lot into Europe as well. They call it the beast from the east when they deal with that. But yeah, it's going to be a very brutal setup. And what about in the middle? What if the cold attacks go straight down? Normally, yes, that is a good setup to bring in cold air that doesn't modify very much and sinks way to the south. The only problem is the Great Lakes, not exactly iced over. The thaw we just went through prevented that from becoming a bigger issue. So because of that, any cold air mass that tries to cut through the Great Lakes actually would experience some friction that way too and modify. Now, why am I saying all this? Just to give you an idea of why you're going to see some temperature maps and models that may be brutal with the Arctic cold, some 30s and 40s, some may not be as warm. You got to look at the source region of where it came from. When you track that flow at 500 millibars, that gives you a good idea of whether or not it ran into more of a friction issue or not. So that's our game plan, our challenge we've got as meteorologists is kind of guide and watch where these colder attacks of air drop down from and whether or not they can be modified or not. Honestly, if you're a snow lover, you don't want to modify too much because if you do, you're going to end up pushing the Arctic air all the way down to the deep south. And you know where I'm going with that. That is where the next winter storm would develop, way south, and would be cold and dry. So we want some of the cold to survive down our way, but just cold enough to snow. We don't want the really true Arctic stuff. So a lot of, and the models do vary on this still, and different ways to kind of bring this into light over the next few weeks. So that'll be some of our challenges. We'll have to master on that as we go through time. You'll see some of that in the future cast coming up. All right, let's get into the short term here. And as we evolve through the next couple of days, I mean, I mentioned today is just going to be a sunny day. Some high level clouds will try to stream in. Otherwise, some high clouds, better opportunity for that tomorrow. Now, what's interesting about tomorrow's setup with the cloud deck that moves in right there, the wind is going to be the strongest right ahead of it in this little box. So if we were to back that up in time, we would start to run into some gustier winds around lunch tomorrow through about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Once you go overcast and this cloud bank moves over your neighborhood, your backyard, the wind will ease back. Until it happens, the wind with a partly sunny sky could still get up to around 40 miles per hour. So yet another windy day coming our way. But it'll be a warming wind. I mean, some may get close to 60 in a couple spots in central Kentucky with that south flow. But once the clouds move in, the warming stops, the wind relaxes, and then this rain on the backside of the front should break out more. And we'll see that band of rain continue to fill in as we head into Wednesday, or very early Wednesday morning, the pre-dawn hours of Wednesday. And then as we get into Thursday, then we get into the cold air, which lags just a bit. But the cold air does eventually get here. It's just running by. Again, cold air is lazy, moves slower, but it is on the way. And it moves in with your snow showers that move in for later on Wednesday night into Thursday. Look at the enhancement due to the mountains. That's a good thumping of snow for the higher elevations, eastern Kentucky and West Virginia. That could be winter storm warning type stuff there for them. But we will only get just the glance, if you will, of the snow showers moving through. Could still get accumulations, but looking at this map alone, the higher will be in the mountains. Okay, that is just really piece number one. Oh, I left this on here because I wanted to mention this streamer that comes off of Lake Michigan. This is a common theme. We always see this one stream that comes off Lake Michigan, and boy, it can reach. Look how far with this strong wind flow. I mean, it doesn't quite all the way connect to West Virginia, but it will certainly get down to Cincinnati. And it's based on wind direction. So if the wind kind of wavers a bit, there is a chance the snow band may ever try to get a little closer to northern Kentucky at times and southeast Indiana. But yeah, these lake effect snow bands, they can be tricky, as they can give you some surprise little amounts of snow. Typically, they're outside of our area, but I just want to mention that if you're looking at the radar coming up on Thursday, you should see that snow band off Lake Michigan, because just about every model has this, especially in high res. Very common to see that. Okay, so here's the overall thinking, though, because this is just one of several systems that are going to roll through the area. I think we'll get the one that rotates in here for Wednesday night and Thursday night into Friday, perhaps Friday into Saturday, and then a break before we get to the one into Monday. And they're going to be one really after another. Now, they may not move in exactly the same track I've got here, kind of curving through, but I displayed this because I want you guys to see that there are multiple little small systems rolling through. They do not have a lot of gaps in between them, so there's not much room for recovery when it comes to warmth. So this is an all cold scenario, so we know this is going to be snow. But because they're moving so fast and they are fairly north, these are all clippers. They do not have the ability to grab a lot of moisture. So it's all just constant light snows, but a constant light snow it will be. And I do think because of that, you're going to end up with light accumulations in a fairly broad area. They may vary a bit because some of the snow showers will have a little more intensity to than others, just like we would have with rain showers in the summertime. So it's too early to get a specific snow map out yet. I think we'll be able to maybe tomorrow. We may be able to, but it's such a messy flow that we show you a snow map and you're going to be thinking, okay, is that just for Tuesday or Wednesday? Or is that Wednesday and Thursday? Or is that for all of it into Sunday? You know where I'm going. I can already hear the questions already being asked. So we may have to do it. All right, here's what you could see on the ground by the time we get into Monday. I don't know if that's easier or not, or if you guys want individual snowfall predictions for each day that's ahead of us. Let me know in chat what you prefer, and I'll pass the word along. But sometimes I think one thing is easier to digest because when you break it up by day, it gets a little confusing, especially if you turn the TV on or you missed something and you missed the first two and you're like, well, what happened to the first two? So anyway, let me know your thoughts on that, because I think it's just easier to just get right into the nuts and bolts of it all, because they are going to be so light. These all together, as it stands now, I would say they will all end up being under 4 inches for our area. But this could be a lot of, 1 inch totals, 1.2, maybe a half inch in one of them, that kind of stuff. So you can end up with a few inches, as long as there isn't any type of melting, because we'll get some sun mixed in with some of this. I don't see a lot of warming, but the sun can induce modest amounts of melting. But I think overall it's going to be cold. Okay. A lot of you are saying a mix of everything on the both side. Okay, let me show you the matrix from the Euro. All right, this is what I love this example, because this is what I love to see. All the ensemble members are all locking in on what is happening here as we evolve into, especially later this week, for Friday, especially, I believe that is Thursday into Friday. It varies a little bit. You can see why it's got some on the leading edge on the left and some on the right. But either way, it's locked in on the idea of a light snow event likely to happen to get snow on the ground for the end of the week here. Now, they're all gray. Now that they're all filled in, now we can look at it and we know they're all gray, which means light snow. Now, this could still change, yes. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to change a whole lot because they are clippers. So you're gonna have to inject the southern branch of the jet stream to get something a little more exciting here. Then you get into a small little break that tries to show up, but then you get into the end of the month, and this is where we get into the system to watch, and you can tell the reason. It's got more moisture with it, so you're getting a little bit higher values that pop in, but confidence is very low. So that'll still be the area to watch for anything bigger, but this is pretty much a good lock here on just a light covering snow that'll stick around all the way through the weekend. GFS, similar idea. Just remember the GFS, once it marks the line, it holds it until the intensity changes. And what I want you to look at, you see where the grays start up, which will be coming up the next couple of days. But notice the blues start to begin as we head into the weekend and early next week. We start to get a few more blues indicating maybe a bit heavier. Still not, I wouldn't say a full-on snowstorm, but maybe a couple more inches on top of that. Any questions on any of that I can answer? Because I want to be as clear on this as possible, because these are not big snow systems coming our way the next few days anyway. They're all minor, but they do add up. And I think it's easier for you guys, in my opinion, just to know that it's going to be snowing every day. Amounts will vary. Just be prepared for it each day you head out to work and school and come home. You may have a few slick spots to contend with, but I don't see anything going to shut the city down kind of stuff. This is all light. Okay, some of you do want the one day at a time. All right, we'll do a mix of both. How about on the blog here? I may do more broad of how things are looking, and on our newscast, they probably will be a little more one at a time. Is that fair? I think it's fair, because our newscast time is very limited anyway, so we can at least focus on one each segment on the TV side for you all. But here I can talk about them all. But again, I wouldn't be too surprised on anything higher than a 3 or 4 inch grand total. I think they're all going to be little snows. When does it start? This will be starting late Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Okay, good enough. All right, let's get into the Euro. And it's hard to show any model because they're all different. But this is the one that got the Deep South real excited last night, because you can see what it's doing. The Euro is bringing the cold all the way down and develops snow. Sorry, let me move this around. Snow all the way down into the I-10 corridor, Florida Panhandle, South Carolina, maybe Charleston, Myrtle Beach. I can only imagine our friends there in the meteorology business, the emails they're getting on this. It was just the Euro that had it, and then it went away. Although the new Euro is running right now. But anyway, it goes to show you that, yes, there is a risk when you push these cold air masses down and you don't have a lot of moisture with them. They're not going to develop any moisture with them until they have a moisture source. Here's your source, the Gulf and the Atlantic. So anytime these cold outbreaks get anywhere close to the edges of the country like that, a storm is just automatically induced. And they could be big storms, especially if you have Arctic air inland. And that's how you get the nor'easters. That's how mid-Atlantic gets the big snow. That's how you get snow in the Carolinas. Snow certainly for the Gulf Coast. Same idea. The cold Arctic outbreaks have to get all the way to the edges to get near a source of water. For our area, typically, we got our biggest storms that roll out of Texas and scoop up the moisture and then just throw it at us as snow, which is nice. And then when systems dive in from the north, like we have coming up this week, they are mainly clippers. And they just are mainly fluffy, dry snow events, but can keep things very wintry. Those are like the different types that we run into. And we will likely see all of those in the coming weeks. All different variations there. All right, we move along. Here we go with the 19th. All right, this is MLK Day. One of the waves passing through, snow showers. The cold retreats, looks like a bit. Then we get into the 20th. This is when there is a hint of a phasing here, but it looks a little too fast. So if it's phasing a little bit more back in this area, be more excited about it, but it's phasing really fast here. So not sold anything being big on that for right now. It needs more time in the oven. And this is where the model stops. But if I were to keep going, it would show a increase in moisture that would move out of Texas and near the Gulf that would surge into this colder air the last week of January. And I think that's the one that will be much more interesting. Could be all types too. It could be freezing rain, sleet, ice, that kind of stuff, all combined because it'll be likely overrunning a cold air mass that'll be in Ohio Valley at that time. But that's the last week of January. Until then, I think a lot of little snows will be at play. Any questions? Any questions? This is the 12Z. 12Z is still running. So these maps, until 12Z is completely done, the maps do not flip over. So I won't be able to show you those until the 3 o'clock today. But we will have them on there. How much? Sorry, I missed your question. Hey, Mind, how much trouble would these light snows cause? They'll be covering the roads over and over again because it'll be cold. Well, that's a good question because we tend to run into more accidents on these lighter snows. Now, I will say there's pretty high awareness that these are coming. So I think the road crews will be busy, and they'll be busy a lot. They'll have to be constantly salting and applying calcium chloride down to do what they can to try to keep up with the main roads to keep it from icing over. But I don't think it's going to be enough snow that would really shut things down. So everyone's still going to have to get out. So it's going to be a combination of us mingling in with road crews at the same time to try to get roads clear. So give them the space they need, and they'll be able to keep the roads in pretty good shape. And then we'll have some days, I think, where the sun will be shining. And remember, even if the sun is still shining below freezing, it can still improve the roadway, especially blacktop. It can improve the roadway. So it's not all bad news on travel, just neighborhood streets or driveways. Those could be the ones to watch out for. Adam, no, not much moisture to work with yet anyway. We need to change up the orientation of how these move through. Right now, they're mainly just a lot of clippers. So don't get me wrong. I mean, it's the colder you can get some higher ratios. I just think that altogether, this looks to be under 4. But you could end up with a few inches on the ground through the weekend. A dry, fluffy snow, if you will. The broom should work, hopefully, in many cases with this, which is good. And then the bigger idea, which will have a little more moisture with it, a lot more kick to it, a much slower system, that signal is still looking to be late month and really would carry over into February. But as far as what we're talking about for later this week into early next week, right now, everything looks to be very clipper based. Unless I see some data that changes my mind in the next 24 hours, that seems to be the overall trend. Electric snow shovel. All right. You're on the way to go there. Hello from Perryville. Hello. Mind the Euro and the GFS have hinted at a bigger phasing last week of January a few times. They have. Yeah. And it's all about this different spacing of each one of these. And I think that's likely the period to watch. Once we get, you'll know that I'm real excited about a system coming our way. If I see a fully phased system in the right spot, you'll know right away by just first 10 seconds of the blog of my facial expression of what's coming. These are exciting, don't get me wrong, but these are not going to be the type that can shut things down. I don't mind that. I think it's good. It eases us in back into the winter driving skills again, get back to that mold. It's getting the ground cold to where that's no longer going to be an issue when the next one, the bigger one does arrive. And it's like, oh, the ground's too warm. It's not going to stick. Well, we'll solve that with this kind of pattern this week and the weekend. We're going to get that ground cold to where now when any other system rolls in, its impacts will be a little more of an issue. But it's going to take another week or so. Okay. I think everybody seems good. I don't think this is anything too extraordinary. As long as it's not ice, Gary, yeah, I know. That's the only thing that worries me about the end of the month one is that if you get a lot of snow and cold, Arctic cold, especially in this area, and you develop systems that are going to roll into that. Yeah, that's a classic one for ice. Let's hope that's not the case. I'm hoping we can get out of this system or out of this weather pattern in general without any type of icing event or ice storm. We don't want that. No one likes that. But I don't see that right now. Just we'll worry about that. And if that signal goes, we'll let you know. All right, let me show you the 10-day, and I got to run out of here. All right, so 46 today, 58 tomorrow, windy tomorrow. Keep that in mind. And then we get into the snow shower machine, if you will, coming into play. Just watch out for slick spots at times. Keep the roads. The road crews are going to do their best, try to keep these roads clear. And this is going to be fine-tuned. This is just a rough estimate on timing. I got a feeling as we get further into the weekend, we're going to be having more specific timings of day and night. So if you're wondering about Friday PM at 8 p.m. or Saturday at 10 a.m., I got to go somewhere, don't stress yet. I think these times are all getting adjusted. I'm just giving you the overall theme of what we're facing. And this is the way it's looking right now. Fair enough. Okie dokie. Fair enough. You all said yes. Got proof. All right. Y'all take care. I'm going to get out of here. And I will see you guys coming up on the flip side at what time? I want to be on. Oh, 3 o'clock. Yeah, I'll be on at 3 o'clock. I'll see you then, guys.